How you doing? Charlie Winters here with horse racing tips again for Sunday, the 24th of November. Well, it's been abandoned. Exeter's been abandoned, so I'm off to Uttoxeter, sunny Uttoxeter. So these are horse racing tips for Uttoxeter races. And I tell you what, I quite like the look of them. I never really looked at the meeting before because Uttoxeter, I tend to do really well or absolutely dreadful. And I had a quick 10-second look at the card and I thought, there's only one extra place race. I thought, I'll leave it. So I went to Exeter and I like the look of those, but now it's been abandoned. So I've gone back to Uttoxeter. And I'll tell you what, I've looked more into the breeding and the suitability of today's conditions, the trip. And I tell you what, I do quite like the look of these. The first bet, if I'm being honest, is a bit of a hit and hope. So I've actually visited Punchestown. Well, just for those of you that visit the channel regularly, and those of you that don't, I never go to Ireland. Well, for my tips anyway. So basically, all I've done is I've looked at who won the race last year, what trainer, and have they got any runners this year? Well, it's Ender Belger. Ender Bolger won the race last year, and she's got. Is it a she? It's a he, isn't it? Anyway, that shows my knowledge of Irish racing. Ender Bolger. Anyway, I think it's a bloke, isn't it? So I've gone for all three of the horses. Ideally, we need one of the bigger places, bigger prices placing, because there's a 4-1 in the race, but also they've got something like a 12-1 and a 100-1. They're only paying first three, but I think it's an interesting race. So let me get into that one anyway. I'm not going to talk about any kind of form. I ain't got a clue what I'm doing with the Irish, but I find it interesting because I do believe this trainer, we'll call it this trainer rather than he or she, this trainer had, I do believe, three runners last year. And once again, we've got three runners again. So I'm going to back the three runners. I think last year it comes from like first, fifth, and seventh. So hopefully the big prices can sneak the place in. So I've had a 20 pence each way doubles. It comes to £2.40. So if any of these three in the first race don't come anywhere, the bet's down. But don't worry, there is a bet later on. So what I've had is 20 pence each way doubles. I've had in the 11.35 at Punchestown, I've had numbers 2, 3, and 13. And these horses are Solitary Man, Stealthy Tom, and Western Commander. So if any of those come placed, it then rolls on to these two selections. So I've had a look at these because it's a poor race. Let me get onto the race because an Amazon shopper is working on your order. Come on, hurry up. So 12.50 at Uttoxeter. I hate this view, by the way. We're not sticking with this one. All right, let's go to that. All right, 12.50 at Uttoxeter. So there's a number of these that have never actually ran over hurdles, and the ones that have been extremely disappointing. So let me just have a quick flick on a few of them. So this horse, it's by Nicky Henderson, trained by Nicky Henderson. It's won a National Hunt flat race. That's the Amazon shopper again. That will be the last year of that. So it won a week, what I believe, National Hunt flat race for mares. It only achieved a rating of 98. That isn't very good, if I'm being honest. So for me, that horse could still be anything because it's probably very green and very inexperienced, but it goes over hurdles. It probably wants further in time, but I just think it could be vulnerable. I just don't like backing Nicky Henderson at the moment. I don't like him at the big festivals with handicapped shots. So then the vast majority of them have all had point-to-point form. So let me just scroll down. There's probably much better chances, but I've gone for some outsiders. And one of the reasons why I've gone for one of the outsiders is because I fancy one of his other horses. So I've gone for this one. It hasn't got a strong form line. See, it's done absolutely nothing over the hurdle. But in rear, went remote fourth, 4 out, lost position. Yeah, so it's nothing to write home about. But there's a little bit of, it's got a little bit of National Hunt flat. It's got a racing post rating of 88. Well, that isn't a million miles behind the favourite, right? Don't get me wrong. I know I'm not saying for 1 second it's as talented or whatever, but then it was a shorter prize for its next run. And to be fair, it disappointed. And then it went over hurdles, never involved. Probably never even going to get involved today either. But Chepstow's a tough track, and I think it's got a chance. I think it's got a chance if it runs above what it's done, and several of the others run below, or don't do a great deal, because the ground's going to be dreadful. Uttoxeter. I live in Nottinghamshire, and where I live is not a million miles away. Don't get me wrong; it's not a stone's throw. Hey, oh. It's not a stone's throw, but I'll tell you what, they've had a lot of rain, and if it's soft now, it could even get even worse. So that's one of the selections, and the other one is this one. Natus Vincia. Well, it's actually related to one of the other horses that I've backed via no risk at all. So there's plenty of national hunt breeding, but what I do like is it won a point to point, so it's got a little bit about it. It won it by 7 and whatever lengths, and that was this year. That was in May, so it can jump, right? So they went to market raisin and it led, headed, and weakened quickly. So I'll tell you what, it could have just blew up and come to pretty much standstill. It was only 7-1 that day, and Rula Bula, it looks like a nice horse, nothing more than that, but it looks like a nice horse. I'm just thinking, could a little bit of experience pay dividends in dreadful ground, especially when a lot of these horses are running for the first time over hurdles? I am more than likely going to be wrong, but if I'm right, there's some very tasty prices. So let me get back to this. So currently, Jackie Can and Natus Vincia are currently 66ers and 66ers. So therefore, if we have a runner, if we have a horse that runs okay in the first race, then we might have half a chance of getting a drag. And if we do, it could be a nice drag. I know it's only 20 pence each way double, but it could be interesting. Anyway, so the next bet is the main bet. So it's a 30 pence each way Trixie. And I've also had the remainder of my account is 81p on this horse. And I do like this horse. It's my most obvious winner of the day. So the horse is called Ludur at 5-2 in the 12:15 at Uttoxeter. This horse could shorten further because I think the favourite might stink. So I'm going to get best odds guarantee because you can see them little rosettes at the side of it. So Ludur, let me have a quick mention about this horse. So this is also trained by Tom Simmons, and I think this horse ran an absolute cracker last time, and I shall tell you why. So it's 2 mile 4 furlong on soft. Straight away, Farland, there's too much going on for this horse because it's had wind surgery. Don't get me wrong, yeah, can't criticise that. So on its run at Chepstow, look at that. I don't know if that was an inquired into the running and riding. Basically, I'm not too bothered about that. But it also was took keen hold, right? So I think there's quirks about this horse for definite. Don't get me wrong, it might win with its head in its chest, but it's going to be dreadful ground at Uttoxeter, and they can struggle to get home. This horse held up in rear, cajoled along, hung left after 7th. What's that? Halfway round, 2/3 of the way round. Steady headway three out. Soon outpaced, hung left again, kept on well. Eye catcher. I don't know if we can call it an eye catcher. So, in my opinion, the ground's going to be softer than possibly what it was at Chepstow and definitely what it was at Foss Lass. This horse has definitely got quirks, and I think this horse could be tested by this one. So it's trained by Tom Simmons, and this horse, I've looked at the breeding, it definitely wants further than what it did on its debut. So it's been hurdling in Ortai. I can't say this word. Ortai. Absolutely loved the soft ground. I've looked at the breeding. So let's have a quick look. This is the sire. I don't want to be patronising, but this is the father of the horse. Condescending, sorry, that's probably the word. So this horse was a regular over 2.5 miles plus, heading towards 3 miles in France on absolutely dreadful ground. Yeah. Started its career similar to what this horse has done. Orte over 2 mile 2. Yeah. And absolutely loved dreadful ground. Progress with time. Yep. So I think this horse, I think that's kind of proven that it definitely wants further. And then Luna Lucky. So they have plenty of. So there it's got a bit of flat form. Not I won't call it form. I just call it feet on the ground, hooves on the ground. So then it goes jumping, and what does it do? I tell you what, doesn't do too bad really, does it? It's nothing to shout home about, but yeah. So therefore, there's plenty of heavy ground in its breeding. It wants a trip clearly. So this horse, what's it done so far? So it ran at Stratford. Stratford for me, you've got to be up with the pace, and I see it as a quick course. I'm not so left-handed, sharp track. I think this would have happened far too quick. This race would have happened far too quick for this horse. So what did it do? Midfield, not fluent third, headway fifth, went third, going okay, 2 out, soon outpaced. I think that going okay, soon outpaced is basically telling you it does want further. Rallying when not fluent last, for me, it wanted everything to do with being stepped up in trip, and that's what it's got today. So it wants the bad ground, it wants to step up in trip, and I think it's got every chance. The biggest danger for me, obviously, clearly, Ollie Murphy, you got this horse with Sean Bone on board, but this is the biggest danger for me. Derry Hassan Paddy. I had a quick look at it, and it did look like a nice horse when it won over the National Hunt Flat. But I just think Ludo's hurdling, if you want to call it form or experience, just will pay dividends. I'm not quite sure where they got the 120 from. I don't know if they used the Orte form as well, but I think this horse could be quite difficult to beat. I think it's probably going to be one of the more straightforward horses in the race. So let's get back to this. So the next selection is Ikari Allen at 5-1 in the 2 o'clock at Uttoxeter. So this horse, 1 year ago, well, pretty much 1 year ago, on the 11th of November 2023, was rated 142. It's now rated, I believe, 115. I think it wants this step up in trip, and I think it wants bad ground. It's got both today. And I tell you what, if I'm right, it's got a right chance. If I'm wrong, they're probably going to aim it for something, maybe one of the festivals, in my opinion, because if it has still got a bit of talent, they're going to drop its handicap mark down as much as they can, win a canter in one of the races, go up by quite a few pounds, and get in at bottom weight in one of the handicaps. Don't get wrong; it's got some way to go to get in there, but excuse me, it's JP McManus, so there may be some kind of target for it. But I think if it either goes to a bigger race with a very good handicap mark in a few months' time, or it'll win this race or run extremely well in this race off a very lenient mark. And finally, Zestful Hope in the 2:35 at Uttoxeter. So this horse, I believe, it's Charlie Longston. It won well with one the other day. I think it was on the flat. So I like the look of this horse, but I'm not that convinced how well it gets home. And I don't want you like putting a line through it just because I've said that, because I've still backed it. I think this horse could go off in front. If it goes off in front, it's got the best jockey, I believe, or one of the very best jockeys for presenting horses at a fence or going over a fence with momentum. David Bass, I think, is really good. He used to ride for Kim Bailey. I don't quite know what's happened there, but I do like the fact that it does really kick them into fences and makes them jump. It's got first-time cheek pieces to make it concentrate. Is that the reason why it's disappointing? It has ran about this trip before and got home. It's just that there's a few question marks at the moment, but I've left the price. I can't remember what price it is. It might be 6s or 7s, but I might be wrong. So I should have actually took the price. So I would have got best odds. I don't normally put bets on it this time. But so those are all the bets for today. But don't go just yet, because what I'm going to do is, if this sun returns, I'm going to have an over 2.5 goals treble on this match: Southampton, Liverpool, Swansea and Leeds, and Ipswich and Man U. I'm not that confident of the Swansea and Leeds match, but I'm still going to have an over 2.5 goals treble, those three matches. But I'm also going to have the same bet again, but miss out Swansea and Leeds, and I'm going to see if it'll let me put a red card in the match. So it'll be Ipswich Man U, Southampton Liverpool, and a red card in the Swansea and Leeds match. That will be a second treble. So that's what we're having if there's a return. So that's it. So I'll be having a look already. I'll be having a look at Monday's card. It's probably a couple of all weathers. I'd have thought. I haven't even looked, so I might be completely wrong. But anyway, if you can give this video a like or subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments what you're planning on doing. So I wish you the very best of luck. Charlie Winters, over and out. Cheers, mate.